Hello, everyone. I am Dawn Benninghove, your host today for this podcast, The Home Care Companion. And I am the luckiest person in the world today because I get to interview Miss JoAnn Glenn, who is also my sister-in-law. And JoAnn just retired this past year in December from Companion Extraordinaire, and we just could not let her go. We were so sad that she chose after 18 years, but we understood. And so, JoAnn, I think it'd be great if you and I start out talking about a little bit about when we got started in 2003. Why don't you tell our listeners what you remember about 2003 when I hired you?
Well, Dawn asked me if I would come and work for Companion Extraordinaire, and Dawn and myself have a very special relationship. She's not only my sister-in-law, but she's my friend. And the company for home care just hits your heart. And so I agreed to come and work, and we worked in the back bedroom of her home for a year or two. And she went out and did all the assessments with the clients. I answered the phones and took notes and learned a little bit more about home care, and I sort of wore all the hats in the office, and we worked together, and Companion Extraordinaire grew.
Absolutely. That is so true. And back then, we only had two other people that were working with us. We had another nurse, and we had a nursing assistant, an aide that went out into the field. So we did that for a couple of years. In 2005, we moved into Thompson Street, tiny little office, only had 2 rooms, and you still answered the phones.
I did. We did payroll and invoices and took on new clients and met more people, and Ashland and the surrounding counties grew to know the name Companion Extraordinaire and what it meant.
And we are so proud to have you as a part of that message that we gave to everyone and are still giving to everyone about Companion Extraordinaire. And I know in 2009, when we moved to where we are now in Ashland at the 112 England Street, that you were such a integral part of that. We had prayed over that for a long time and hoping for a door to open, and the door just opened. We were all so incredibly grateful and thankful. And while we were in that location, grew to 150 employees, and we were just soaring. It was just such an incredible time. And then finally in 2015 got to move our second location and open that door down in Lakeside. So what would you think of as far as a memorable moment, JoAnn, at Companion Extraordinaire? I know you loved the veterans. We would always get you to call the veterans, find out what service they were in. We did that great big veteran event with Governor McAuliffe. Mm-hmm. And so what would you say would be a memorable moment for you?
With the veterans?
Yeah, sure.
Well, even the day that I retired, I still had in my file cabinet all the forms of where I spoke to all the veterans or their wives, their children, to find out what branch they served in. Were they ever in a wartime? And in one of our families, there were 3 family members that were all in the service, a husband and wife and a son. And so it was so interesting. I even had one of the veterans to say to me, "You're welcome at my home anytime. I'd like to show you my awards. They're hanging on my wall." And of course he invited Dawn as well. And so it was a very wonderful to think about these people now up in senior years that had served for our country. We had them from all branches. I think the majority were Army, but we had them from all branches, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and their stories were very, very heartwarming, interesting, very patriotic. So I was at first when I was asked to take that project, I was like, oh my. But as you got into it, you realized it was really something to do.
Indeed. Such a wonderful privilege to be able to care for our veterans.
That's true.
And of course, with us being a veteran provider, it's just such an honor to do that. And then you also found out that we had employees who were veterans as well.
And their husbands. We did. We have, I don't know how many, I can't remember, but I know we have care providers that were in the military. We also have one of our chaplains was in the military.
Yes.
And we also had care providers' husbands and maybe their children that were in the military. So it was a network.
Yes.
It moved on.
Yes. And that was so great to see. Now, for a long, long time, JoAnn, we have called you the voice of Companion Extraordinaire because you have always answered the phone. In fact, we saw Jessica Lewis. She had just done a podcast and she was headed out the door when you were coming in. And that's what she said. She missed your voice. And so we've always felt that you were the heart of Companion Extraordinaire. And from the very first day that you walked through our doors, I just felt it a privilege to be able to work alongside you. It was wonderful. And we've been through a lot and seen a lot over the years. And I think one of the exciting things was in actuality, you had retired this past December, but you'd actually tried to retire twice before.
I know.
And couldn't stay away, right?
No, and I still, even though I'm retired, I still have Companion on my thoughts. I have Companion in my prayers. I miss answering that phone. I miss seeing the care providers. I miss talking with potential prospects and their families and telling them about the care that Companion offers. And so those are things that I truly do miss. I do enjoy spending more time with my husband and being with grandchildren and children. I enjoy that, but I miss working too.
Well, and that is something you got compliments for all the time, is that when we call them prospects, but when clients who need care or a family member who's calling for their loved one who needs care, they always complimented you. They'd turn around, call us back and say that JoAnn just made me feel so loved and so cared for. And you would listen for 20, 30, 45 minutes sometimes because, when you need care for a loved one, you're in crisis. You need a loving, listening ear who understands. And you certainly understand caring for others. And I know, with your mom and how you cared for her that time period that you did and others. You just truly have a heart for this type of loving, caring work, JoAnn. And so it's been a wonderful time to have you.
Well, when you believe in something, then that's where it's at. And I believe in Companion Extraordinaire, and I believe in the leadership of Companion. I believe in the care. And I was thinking, I have seen times when young women and young men have come and want to get into home care, but they didn't have a degree. They had graduated high school, but they didn't have a degree. And that's where Companion Extraordinaire offered them either a PCA course or a CNA course. And when they graduated, it built up their self-esteem, and they graduated as a care provider with a diploma, and they were offered a job. And a lot of them accepted those positions and are still with Companion Extraordinaire today.
That's true. A lot of them are still with us today. In fact, right at 25% of all of our employees have been with us 5 years or more. Mm-hmm. And that is fairly unheard of in the home care arena. But I do believe that as an organization, because you and I are family, number one, but I believe that that just grew out of the love that you and I have for each other. It really grew out more and more from those that came in. They saw that care, that love and kindness that we had for each other. And so that's exactly what Companion does, is just takes everyone in as a family. And you certainly were the mama for so many people.
I have one of them that calls me mama.
That's right. That's right. So, JoAnn, we were talking just a little bit before we started the podcast, and you were saying that what was it that one of the things that you think about Companion Extraordinaire, and I just loved the way you put it. So if you would share, your thoughts about Companion Extraordinaire.
Well, when I think about Companion Extraordinaire, it's a home care company. The majority of our clients or patients are elderly, female and as well as male, but they're elderly. Some of them, some of them live with their child. They live in their home, their child goes to work, and we come in and take care of mom or dad, or both. And then there are children, they have children that don't, the client lives by themselves, and their children work. So we go in and take care of mom or dad. And then we have clients whose children live out of state. Maybe they got married and they needed to move. They had a job transfer, they needed to move. So there's no family member here. We are their family here. And when the family knows, even though they could be states away, miles away, they know that mom or dad is getting the care that they need. They get their meals, they get their medication reminders, they get even some light housekeeping. Sometimes we've even taken their pets on walks, or we feed their pets. We take them to doctor's appointments, and Dawn and the nursing staff gives their family full reports. Okay, we went to see the cardiologist today, and this is what he or she had to say. So they get full reports, and they can rest assured that their family member is being well cared for. And that's what I feel. That's without the care provider and without the client, there's no home health care. And once again, I say, Dawn is the owner, the CEO, but she has a great staff that works under her. She has an assistant. She has a scheduling team. She has nurses and teachers. So it's a network that works together.
Well, JoAnn, I could not have put it any better myself. And you have always been a blessing to me. And I am so grateful for the years that you got to be at Companion, and believe in my heart that God put us together for very special reasons. So we want to thank you today. When I talk about tools for the toolbox, JoAnn, you are the toolbox. You are what
no.
holds all of everything else together. And we're so grateful that you had this time with us today and were able to tell others your experience with Companion Extraordinaire. So thank you all for listening. This is Dawn Benninghove with the Home Care Companion.